Welcome to Jmix, a full-stack open-source platform built on top of Spring, Vaadin, and other mainstream technologies. Today, we'll build an admin panel for employee management, a real full-stack application ready to be deployed to production with security features, business logic, and a REST API. So let's get started. Assuming we have Jmix Studio already installed in intellijidea, we'll start by creating a Jmix project and writing a skeleton for our application. Jmix provides a wide variety of templates to create different applications. An ideal option for our project would be the full-stack application template written in Java. We'll call our project Sample and move on. After the project is created, the IDE starts downloading dependencies and indexing the project. First thing we'll see is a welcome page where we can find all the resources to get started with Jmix. While the folders in the Project tab might remind you a Spring Boot setup, Jmix's tab takes it a step further, breaking down the project into logical modules such as views, data model, security, and deployment. Our initial project is connected to an in-memory database, and its data model already contains a user entity alongside its views. Let's take a look at the views. Views in Jmix consist of a Java controller, where we create event handlers and other business logic for our view, and an XML descriptor file that defines the view's components and layout. We'll use this entity for security purposes later. For now, let's try to launch our application. On every launch, Jmix Studio compares the current schema with its data model to generate a changelog for the differences and keep our data model in sync. Our database is currently empty, so to generate a diff changelog, Jmix Studio first needs to create the database and execute all existing changelogs. Now we can refer to our local host. First thing we'll see is the application's login view with the admin's credentials typed in. This way, without a single line of code written, we already have a functional CRUD application based on Spring Boot and Vaadin. But since we're trying to build something practical, let's move on to the next step. We want to create an admin panel with two main entities, employee and department. The employee entity will include a department ID, establishing a many-to-one relationship with the department entity. For this guide, we have PostgreSQL up and running on a Docker container. You can download the file with the needed SQL commands to follow along in the description below. We can of course build our entities from scratch using Jmix's Entity Designer. But since we have a pre-existing database, we can generate our entities from the get-go. For that, we'll first add a new data store and type in our database credentials. And now we can generate the data model based on the database. While following the wizard, Jmix Studio suggests generating the entities related views that we'll see in the application. Perfect. At this point, we will have newly created entities and their CRUD views respectively. Entities in Jmix follow the GPA specification. They're annotated with Jmix entity and include an additional instance name and Jmix-specific attribute that represents the entity instance in the UI. Jmix Studio has also referenced the department entity in our employee class. Just like for the user entity, Studio has generated two views for each entity, a list view and a detail view. Let's see them in action. You'll be pleasantly surprised when you'll be greeted by a CRUD application on your local host in just a few clicks. As you can see, we have two new list views in the application where we'll be able to manage our employees and departments. Now we can move on to the security features. Jmix security system is built on top of Spring Security and simplifies it with only two types of roles. Resource roles let you decide who gets access to which parts of your app. And row-level roles allow you to add restrictions based on some rules. Let's assume we need a manager role who'll only see the employees of their corresponding department. We'll start by creating a resource role called Manager. Jmix will create an empty manager role interface that we can set up declaratively. In the User Interface tab, we can grant view permissions to the created role. Additionally, we'll ensure the manager role has the necessary permissions to view and edit the entities and their attributes within those views. Let's try this out. Notice that this time, we don't need to restart the application. Jmix's hot deploy has already applied all the changes to the application. We'll log in as an admin, assign the manager role to the user we created earlier, and log into this new user account. That's how our manager Mark gets to see only the employee view. Now we want Mark and his fellow managers to have access only to the employees from the same department. To define which manager is responsible for a particular department, we'll need a new attribute in the department entity. We can do that manually, as with any GPA entity, or use Jmix Studio. We'll create a responsible attribute that will contain a user role. Since we have connected an additional database, Jmix Studio will suggest creating a transient attribute to store the user's ID. We can propagate changes made to the entities into the view without changing the context as well. Before restarting our application, we'll allow Studio to create a DDL script to automatically update our database. When we'll restart our application, Jmix Studio will generate a migration script to synchronize the model changes with the database. Now we can assign our manager Mark as the responsible for the IT department. We can also create roles at runtime. The admin security section is all we need for that. To restrict our managers from viewing employees from other departments, we'll set up a row-level role. After we've chosen the entity we want to restrict, we'll write a GPQL script to fetch only the employees whose department's responsible ID is the same as the current user ID, or manager in this case. Next, we'll assign this role to Mark and test our security configurations. As we can see, everything works as expected. What about adding business logic to our application? Let's say we want to help managers count employees in their department to optimize office seating arrangements. For that, we'll add a button to our UI declaratively in the employees XML file. Jmix Studio offers convenient tools for UI development using the Jmix UI panel and editor toolbar. The panel is divided into two sections: Hierarchy and Inspector. The Hierarchy section allows you to visually view the current descriptor's hierarchy. Here, we can add the button component and drag it where we want it to be. The Inspector is a context-dependent window that enables you to edit any descriptor node. For example, we'll change the ID of our button and its text. Now that we have created a simple button, our next step is to create the logic behind it. Firstly, we'll create a Spring Service bean where we'll describe our business logic. Here we'll define a new method that will calculate the employees by department. Jmix Studio allows you to scaffold useful, context-dependent code through the Code Snippets button. The easiest way to get this done is to generate an aggregated query. Great! This method calculates employees by department. Let's create another method that finds a department associated with the current user's ID and then invokes the previously created method with this department. Here we can select the entity we want to load and specify its where condition using the wizard. We can also check the preview of our query before confirming its creation. We found our current user ID, we passed it to the query, then applied our employee calculation method to the retrieved department instance. All we need to do now is link the bean with the created button through its controller. We'll generate an onClick method in the view's controller where we'll inject our created service class. We'll get the result of the method and use the dialog's interface to display our text. Let's check if it works. Now Mark knows how many employees he has in his department. What if we want to expose our business logic through REST endpoints? Just like Vaadin, Jmix has its own set of add-ons to extend our application's functionality without additional hustle, and the REST API add-on does exactly what we need. We'll visit the marketplace and install it to automatically add the necessary dependencies to our project, as well as properties set in our properties file. We'll start by presenting an access token from the client to access the protected resources in the application. For that, we'll add Jmix-specific properties to specify which resource roles the client's access token should carry. Now we can use the curl command in our terminal to obtain the access token by providing the client's credentials. To test our REST API, we'll use the access token to make an API call to our application. In this example, we're trying to get the list of user entities. Perfect! So there you have it, a full-stack application built on Jmix with Spring Boot and Vaadin. Moreover, Jmix offers assistance in testing, cloud deployment, and everything you need to make your application production ready. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments or check out our social media and additional materials. Links in the description below. Thank you for watching.